Welcome to the deep dive. Today, you've brought us a really fascinating story from ancient Buddhist texts.
It's quite something, yeah.
It's got, well, a highly disciplined monk, a maybe mischievous nature deity, and a method of healing that's just, wow, pretty
Right.
bizarre.
Definitely unusual.
Mm.
Our source here is commentary on the Dhammapada, specifically texts called Pabbhāravāsittissattheravatthu. They tell the specific story about a monk, Tissa, who went to live in a cave.
Right, and our mission today is to really unpack this account. We want to dig into the unexpected challenges this monk faced.
Exactly, and how he built with this deity.
And maybe what lessons about purity, like deep purity and non-attachment, we can find in this ancient tale.
Yeah, there's some surprising insights, I think.
Okay, sounds good. Get ready for some, unexpected twists. Let's unpack this.
Okay, so let's set the scene. We have this monk, Tissa. He's just gotten meditation instructions straight from the Buddha.
Wow, okay, from the source.
Right, and he's looking for solitude, a place to really practice diligently. He finds this cave in a forest.
And the moment he steps in?
He feels it. You know, that sense of deep, focused concentration. The texts say it was immediate.
So he thinks, this is it.
Yeah, this is the spot, a suitable place. He feels like he can really accomplish his spiritual goals here. He's ready to get down to work.
But there's always a but, isn't there?
There is. The cave isn't empty. There's nature deity already living there. And she sees the monk arrive, notices his virtue, his purity. The text uses the word salava.
Okay, so she recognizes he's serious.
Right. And honestly, she finds it kind of awkward, living there with her kids and this super pure monk. It's difficult.
I can almost see that. A bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. So initially she just thinks, okay, maybe he's just here for one night. He'll leave tomorrow.
Wishful thinking, maybe.
It seems like it. Because the next morning, Tissa goes into the village for alms, and a laywoman, a supporter, sees him.
And there's a connection there, right?
A strong one. The text says she felt affection for him, like a son put a sinhan.
That's significant, not just a random encounter.
Definitely not. So she invites him to her home for a meal. And then, because she's so impressed, she asks him to stay for the whole rainy season retreat, the Tamasa.
3 months. That's a big ask.
It is, and a big commitment from her to support him.
So what does the monk think?
He considers it. He reflects that maybe, relying on her support could actually help him. It might free him from other concerns, enable him to really focus and break free from existence, Pabbhāravāsī.
Interesting. So detachment through dependency, in a way.
In a specific way, yes. So he agrees and heads back to the cave.
Okay. Now the deity sees him return.
Right. And she's still maybe hoping, oh, he got invited for a meal. Maybe he'll stay a day or two more. But then about half a month goes by, and it dawns on her, he's not leaving. He's staying for the whole rainy season.
And that's a problem for her.
It is. Living with this highly virtuous monk and her children, it's just not working for her. But she can't just, tell him, hey, get out.
Right, that wouldn't be proper. Or maybe she couldn't.
The text implies it wasn't really an option. So she decides on a different plan, a sneakier one.
Which is?
She decides to find some flaw in his virtue. Sil kalitanti. If she can find something wrong with him, maybe that's grounds to, make him leave or discredit him.
Okay, so she's going digging. She uses her divine sight, right?
Yeah.
Dibana kakuna.
Exactly. She looks at his entire conduct, everything he's done since he became a monk, searching for any little slip-up, any stain, a tilakava, kahava.
And does she find anything?
Not a thing. The texts are very clear. 0 blemishes. His conduct is spotless.
Wow. So much for finding a real fault.
Yeah, plan A fails completely. So what does a frustrated deity do?
Oh.
She decides to create a problem. If she can't find a fault, she'll manufacture something to cause him disrepute. Ayasapudasamiti.
Okay, this is where it gets really weird, isn't it?
This is where it gets really weird.
Yeah.
She targets the lay supporter's family, the source of his support.
Undermining his base.
Exactly. She possesses the body of the eldest son.
Oh, wow. What happens to the boy?
It sounds pretty bad. The text says his neck twists around Pabbhāravāsī. His eyes bulge out Akinikamisu. Saliva flows from his mouth, Mukato Kyo Pagarati. He's clearly in distress.
That's awful. The poor mother must have been terrified.
Absolutely, she cries out. And then the deity, still invisible, speaks. She says, yep, I've seized the child. And she demands a bali kamena. Often that means an offering. But here it's more like a condition for release.
A condition. And this condition involves The monk.
It involves things related to the monk. She offers 3 bizarre potential cures.
Okay, let's hear them. Cure number 1.
First, she says, ask your supporting monk Tissa for licorice root, lotimatuka, boil oil with it. Give it to the child through the nose, athuto death.
Through the nose. Okay, and the mother's reaction.
Immediate refusal. She says, I can't possibly ask the venerable one for licorice root. Her respect for him is just too high.
Okay, so she won't even ask for an ingredient. Interesting. What's cure number 2?
Plan B. If you can't ask for licorice root, then put asafoetida powder hukukunti in the child's nose. Así que hace hukunchi pakipito.
Asafetida, that really strong smelling spice in his nose.
Yep. And the mother?
Let me guess.
Refusal.
Correct. Again, she says she couldn't even mention that to the monk or in relation to him.
Wow. So she rejects 2 things that sound vaguely medicinal, even if strange. What's the third option? This must be the one.
This is the one,
Yeah.
and it's the strangest. The deity says, pour the water used to wash the monk's feet, paradhovanuga, on the child's head. Sisa asingikata.
Just the foot washing water.
Just the foot washing water.
And the mother's reaction this time.
She agrees. Sakaida katunti. This can be done.
Okay, hold on. That's fascinating. Asking for an herb? No way. Suggesting a pungent powder? Absolutely not. But using the water that washed his feet? That's okay.
It really highlights the level of her reverence, doesn't it? The physical substance isn't the issue. It's the nature of the request to the monk, or using something from him in a way that feels transactional, maybe? But the foot water feels different, like an act of grace almost.
Yeah, or maybe just something passive, like it's just water that happened to touch him.
Okay, so she agrees to this third option.
Right. So she waits for the monk to come back. He arrives for his meal, as usual. She seats him, serves him his gruel and food.
Standard procedure.
Standard procedure.
Yeah.
And then while he's sitting there, between courses or after eating, she performs the customary act of washing his feet.
A sign of respect.
Exactly. And she takes that water, utakaiga hetva, and this is important. She asks his permission.
Ah, okay. What does she say?
She asks, Bante, Venerable Sir, ida udaka darakasa sisse asini kamati. Shall I sprinkle this water on the child's head?
And the monk? Does he ask why? Does he hesitate?
Nope. According to the text, he just says, asinikatati, sprinkle it.
Just like that. Simple permission. A simple permission. So she does it. Padakarusu. She sprinkles the water on the son's head.
Then what happens?
Instantly. Davadeva. The deity releases the child. Gone. The boy is okay.
Wow. So the foot washing water worked? Or seemed to?
It seemed to. The monk finishes his meal, he leaves, and he's already back in his meditative state. The text specifically mentions he's mentally reciting the 32 parts of the body, the Vaditsakarhai Sajantova.
Right. That's a classic meditation for realizing the nature of the body, developing non-attachment.
Exactly. He hasn't let go of his meditation subject of Visadakamaidhataya. He's completely focused internally as he walks back.
Okay, so he arrives back at the cave entrance.
And the deity is standing there waiting for him.
The confrontation.
Yep. And she calls out, taunting him.
Mavejameda Pavisat, hey, great doctor, don't enter here.
Great doctor. Okay, that's the accusation. How does the monk react?
He stops. He asks who she is. She identifies herself as the deity living there.
And the monk, does he get angry? Confused? He seems more analytical. He does a quick mental check, reviews his entire monastic life again, Vijakamasa Katona Napasami. I don't see any instance where I practiced medicine, he thinks.
So he's genuinely perplexed by the accusation based on his own self-assessment.
Right. So he asks her straight up, why do you call me that?
And the deity lays it out.
She points right to the morning's incident. Ayevataya, amanusageitasa, upayakaputasya, podatovanodaikasisya sitanesitanti. Basically, wasn't the foot-washing water sprinkled on the head of your supporter's son, the one seized by a non-human today?
He can't deny that.
No. He confirms, amasitanti, yes, it was sprinkled.
And then she hits him with the punchline.
Exactly. She asks, essentially, and you don't see that as practicing medicine.
The penny drops for the monk.
Big time. He realizes, eta santaya tovadasiti. Is it this you're referring to when you speak? And she confirms.
Okay, this is the absolute core of it, the aha moment. What goes through his mind, because this is where it gets really interesting.
It really is. He reflects, deho syntesi. And his thought process is key. He thinks something like, wow, how perfectly aligned is my path, how closely my conduct follows the teaching.
Wait, that's his reaction. Not defensiveness, but Validation.
Exactly. He sees that even this deity, after scrutinizing his entire life, couldn't find a single real flaw in his virtue. His Katupari that's the fourfold purity of monastic virtue. No tilakava kokava.
No stain, no blemish.
None. And the only thing she could possibly twist into an accusation was this passive act just allowing his foot-washing water to be sprinkled on the child's head.
So her accusation, intended to cause him trouble, actually becomes the ultimate proof of his impeccable purity.
Precisely. Because if that was the worst she could find, he must be doing incredibly well. It's like negative proof, confirmed by a hostile witness.
That's an amazing turnaround.
And reflecting on this, on the sheer depth of his own purity, confirmed in this bizarre way, a huge wave of joy arises in him. Bhalavapudi. Not just happiness, but a powerful spiritual joy connected to his practice.
And what does he do with this powerful joy?
He doesn't get carried away. He masters it. Tavakambhatha. He channels that energy. And right there, standing at the cave entrance, without even lifting his feet, Padudarapi akatvattativa.
He attains enlightenment.
He attains arahantship, arahantapatva, full liberation, triggered by a deity's failed attempt to slander him over foot-washing water.
Incredible. Just incredible. So now he's an arahant, an enlightened being. How does he interact with the deity now?
The dynamic shifts completely. He's no longer just a virtuous monk. He's realized the ultimate truth. So he addresses her with authority.
He tells her off.
Essentially, yes, but from a place of profound understanding. He says something like, "You tried to defile a pure monk like me. Don't live in this forest grove. You need to leave."
He cleanses the space, in a sense.
Yes. And then he utters anudana, an inspired utterance, often spoken by enlightened beings.
What does he say?
Visudovatame vaso nimala matapasinan matpavisutta dusesi nikampavana tuvanti.
Which means?
Roughly. Pure indeed is my dwelling. Stainless am I, this ascetic. Do not defile the pure one. Depart from this great forest. It's a declaration of his state and its effect on his surroundings.
Wow. So the deity is essentially evicted by his enlightenment.
That's the implication. He finishes the rainy season there, now fully enlightened. Then he goes to visit the Buddha.
And the other monks are curious, right?
Yeah. They ask him, so did you accomplish your task? Did you reach the goal?
Pabbhāravāsitissa.
And he tells them the whole story. The deity, the foot water, everything.
The whole thing, from arriving at the cave onwards.
And the monks focus on the confrontation, naturally.
Yeah. Right. They ask him, hey, when that deity called you great doctor and accused you like that, did you get angry? It's the obvious question, isn't it? Most people would be at least annoyed.
Totally. But Tissa's answer is simple. Na kujamiti haha. I did not get angry.
Just flat out, no anger.
Flat out. Which the other monks find kind of extraordinary. They think maybe he's claiming something special, anyada karoti, not getting angry in that situation.
So they take it to the Buddha, like, is this guy for real?
Pretty much. They report the conversation.
And
the Buddha listens. Then he confirms it.
What does the Buddha say?
He says, monks, my son does not get angry at all. Neva bikave mama pudukuchati. Simple statement of fact.
And he explains why.
Yes, this is crucial. He explains, for him there is no association sasaigo namanati with either householders, gihi, or renunciants, pabbhāshite.
No association. What does that mean exactly? It sounds like isolation.
It's deeper than just physical isolation. The Buddha continues. He is unassociated, asasal, having few wishes, apicho, and content, santute.
Okay, unassociated. The source text clarifies this, doesn't it?
It does. It defines asasaya as being unassociated because of a lack of entanglement through seeing, hearing, speaking, using things, and physical contact. So
it's not about avoiding people entirely, but about a lack of inner entanglement or dependency on those interactions with both the lay people and other monks.
Exactly. An inner freedom. The commentary also uses the term anukasari, wandering without attachment, without settling into worldly dependencies or homes.
So that internal state of non-attachment, of having few needs and being content, is the reason he didn't get angry. The deity's words just didn't find anything inside him to stick to.
Precisely. There was no hook for the anger to catch on. And the Buddha then crystallizes this idea by speaking a verse, defining this kind of person as a true Brahmin, which here means a perfected, worthy individual.
What's the verse? Which translates to,
Unassociated with householders, and with the homeless ones too, wandering without attachment, having few wishes. That one I call a Brahmin.
a perfect description of Tissa's state as revealed by the whole incident.
Exactly. And the impact of hearing this story and the Buddha's explanation.
The text says many people listening attain spiritual fruits, starting from stream entry. Desanavasane bahussotapatifadini papuchi suti.
So this wild story about a monk, a grumpy deity, and some foot water turns out to be this profound teaching on the nature of purity, non-attachment, and the inner state that leads to enlightenment.
Yeah, it really shows how true purity isn't just about avoiding big, obvious faults. It's about that deep-seated quality where even the smallest, weirdest accusation just slides off because there's nothing for it to stick to.
And the fact that the accusation itself, the thing the deity thought was a flaw, actually triggered his final realization is just remarkable. It highlights the power of clear self-awareness and that deep non-attachment.
And the Buddha really nails it by pointing to the unassociated nature as the key. It wasn't just about being alone in a cave. It was that inner freedom from the push and pull of social interactions, expectations, approvals, disapprovals.
That asada quality
Yeah.
is the foundation for his equanimity.
Which brings us to a really interesting point for us today.
Yeah.
In a world that's all about connection, interaction, constant feedback, what does it even mean to cultivate being unassociated in this sense?
Right. It's not about becoming a hermit, necessarily.
No, but maybe it's about cultivating some of that inner detachment, that ability to not be so hooked by every opinion, every comment, every interaction, to have that core of contentment and few wishes that makes you less vulnerable to disturbance.
How might developing even a little of that inner freedom affect our own peace, our focus, how we react when things, inevitably get weird or provocative in our own lives?
Yeah, something to definitely think about as you go about your day.